The following podcast has been paid for by Perched on the Top Rope.
This is Impact Wrestling Moose, and you're listening to Perched on the Top Rope.
Welcome, everyone, to Perched on the Top Rope. I am your host, former dirt sheet writer from Ringside News, Sportskeeda, The Richest, The Sportster. You name it, I've written there. I am your host, Lee Walker. I'm joined by my co-host tonight, the Perched correspondent, YouTube.com, and Justin We Trust. Justin Largetoe. Justin, how you doing today, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. And we're going to be doing something we have not done in a while. We are going to do the predictions for Impact Wrestling's No Surrender that is taking place tonight, Justin. It's tonight. It's Friday at 8 p.m., which you can catch on Impact Plus, you can catch on YouTube, and you can catch on Fight TV. Very exciting. We have a great card. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you stick to the end of this podcast, because at the end, we are going to include episode 125, which you can still go download on your own. It came out on Thursday. An interview with Impact Wrestling's Jay Vidal. So at the end of this podcast, you'll be able to listen to that. And we thank Moose for the opener he gave us when we interviewed him last year that we used for tonight's episode. Thank you. A very impact-driven episode, Justin. So let's just jump right into it. The pre-show sees Deonna Purrazzo taking on Gisele Shaw, again, with her media content creator, Jay Vidal. This is just a singles match. Deonna Purrazzo was part of Hard to Kill's #1 contender match, where it was Masha Slamovich who defeated her, Killer Kelly, and Taylor Wilde. Again, we have Masha on this card later on. Justin, I had asked Jay if this would be a match where Deonna Purrazzo or Gisele Shaw, whoever wins, regain that #1 contendership. And, you know, the answer, fans, you can listen to at the end here. Justin, what do you think? Do you think the winner of this match can become a #1 contender, even though it's on the pre-show?
Yeah, I would imagine so. You know, as you just mentioned, the four-way at Hard to Kill last month, you had the likes of Killer Kelly and Taylor Wilde and Masha Slamovich, who obviously we saw, you know, move on to the Knockouts title match on this card. Deonna Purrazzo, no stranger to the Knockouts championship scene, and, you know, Gisele Shaw has kind of been coming up, so I wouldn't be surprised to see her move on to, you know, being Mickie James' next opponent, but definitely can't disregard the history between Deonna and Mickie James. I mean, they main evented a pay-per-view last year, and they were the Knockouts title match at Hard to Kill 2 years ago. So, or excuse me, not Hard to Kill, Bound for Glory.
Yeah, and Gisele Shaw just coming off of a losing effort against Jordynne Grace back in November for the Knockouts championship. So you'll have to find out what Jay said at the end, folks. Justin, who do you see winning this match?
I could see it going either way, to be honest with you, but I'm going to take the safe pick, and I'm going to go Deonna Purrazzo.
Okay. For all intents and purposes, I am going to go with Gisele Shaw. I see Gisele Shaw and Jay getting a push, especially considering Jay is going to be... Well, I'm not going to give that spoiler away, folks, because this show is spoiler-free, is the way to be. But Jay had an announcement, and it involves the No Surrender Aftermath show that takes place on Sunday, but you'll have to listen to what he says, or you can go listen on episode 125, because this is episode 126. I'm going to go with Gisele Shaw. I really believe here, even though it's on the pre-show, that this puts either one back in the #1 contendership here. Our next match, Justin, is the final match for the pre-show. We have Jonathan Gresham taking on Speedball Mike Bailey in a singles match. I want to make a joke about Speedball, but
I was gonna say, brother, your favorite wrestler here, Speedball Mike Bailey.
the only guy who Alex says wrestled like the drug and didn't really help him much on that one when we were with former WWE writer Rob Hockman. Fans, you can go listen to that episode too. That was like episode 67, uh, where we first get introduced to Speedball Mike Bailey, and about 5 minutes of laughter after, we were good to go to actually talk. Both great performers here, Justin. Jonathan Gresham, as we know, had those issues with Tony Khan in the direction of Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor, I feel like was really a big project for Gresham. I didn't like the direction. So here he is in Impact Wrestling with his wife, Jordan Grace. Two phenomenal wrestlers. Justin, this match is very easily pay-per-view worthy. What do you think of the match?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm excited for this match. I think it should be very, very good. Going into this pay-per-view, obviously this is on the pre-show. Excuse me. I've been becoming a very big fan of Speedball Mike Bailey over the last year. He's definitely shown me something, and Jonathan Gresham coming off his run in Ring of Honor and, being the Ring of Honor World Champion for a pretty good amount of time, even though the company was kind of, on ice for a bit. This should be fun, and I'm expecting Jonathan Gresham to pick up the win. Like you said, he's fairly new to Impact still. I'm actually pretty surprised that they put Eddie Edwards over him at Hard to Kill last month, but I think this is going to be Jonathan Gresham's first, big win since joining Impact.
Very well said there. I can't. This is a hard one. This is a hard match, Justin. This, like, it can go either way. I feel like Mike Bailey has had a lot of momentum as of late, but I also feel like Jonathan Gresham's still kind of new to Impact and kind of need, I feel like this is a win. They both need a win, really, in my opinion here. I'm gonna say Jonathan Gresham wins.
Yeah, I think that's pretty safe to say for both of us.
Now, that ends the pre-show, ladies and gentlemen. Now we are on the main card, and boy, oh boy. I brought up Masha, Justin, and we are starting off with the Impact Knockouts World Championship, Mickie James versus Masha Slamovich. Again, we just talked about it a little bit at Hard to Kill. Masha, winning that fatal four-way match to take on the winner from Hard to Kill between Mickie James and Jordan Grace as Mickie was doing her last rodeo. Mickie wins, beats Jordan Grace, which I believe was quite a shock because I honestly think a lot of people expected Mickie James to retire.
Right.
Usually when you get these these last rides or all these sorts of last types, going in, you fully expect that's what's going to happen. That ended up not being the case here. Everyone was kind of expecting almost really like a rematch of Grace versus Masha here. So, Justin, what do you think?
Yeah, so this is another one I could kind of see it going either way. You and me, Lee, we saw Masha Slamovich challenge for the Knockouts title a few times last year towards the end of the year at Bound for Glory, and I believe it was Turning Point as well. Or no, not a Turning Point. I'm sorry. It was Overdrive, the pay-per-view following Bound for Glory. And, she was unsuccessful both times against Jordan Grace, which makes you kind of believe, hey, third time's the charm in this case with the Knockouts Championship. But, Mickie James, as you mentioned, she's coming off this last rodeo, big win over Jordan Grace in the main event of Hard to Kill last month. And it'd be kind of weird to, end that so quickly, just a month after that. So I think I'm going to say Mickie James here, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's some kind of controversy to lead to a rematch later on.
Okay. All right. Having Masha just come off a losing effort, I don't see, like you said, I don't see this being a loss for Mickie James. I feel like, they made such a big ordeal with that whole last rodeo for her to, she's either going to become champion or she's going to retire. I don't see Mickie James's first title defense because this is her first title defense as the Impact Knockouts champion since winning it at Hard to Kill. I don't see it happening. I don't see her losing. And if I do, it's going to be because of like a count out type deal. Or I see Masha getting disqualified. You know what I mean?
Right. Well,
I,
another
I
thing to mention is like on Impact TV, Mickie and Masha have kind of been entangled with the Bully Ray and Tommy Dreamer storyline going on TV. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see either of them show up at some point in this match.
yeah, again, that's another good point. And speaking of Bully Ray and Tommy Dreamer, there's going to be some sort of busted open radio segment on this. Don't know too much about it. When you got a couple of the guys that are on the show part of your roster, why not take advantage? Because they have a real popular podcast,
Right.
So that'll be really interesting to see. Justin, match number 4, and I can't believe this early in the card. The Impact World Championship. The champion Josh Alexander will be taking on Rich Swann, which Justin, on an episode of Impact, it was January 26th, Rich Swann had won a Golden Six shooter 6-way elimination match to earn this spot at No Surrender against Josh Alexander. Josh Alexander is currently the longest reigning Impact World Champion. Rich Swann is no stranger to it because he's been an Impact World Champion as well. Justin, who do you got? What do you think of the match?
Yeah, as you mentioned, Josh Alexander, longest reigning Impact World Champion, just recently broke that record last month, and I see that reign continuing here. I don't foresee Rich Swann, getting the upset over Josh Alexander. I think Josh Alexander honestly takes this title to a year. Won the title last year at Rebellion. Your boy here was in the front row for that. Had to throw that out there in Poughkeepsie, New York. But yeah, I see Josh Alexander at least, the very least, going a full year with this to Impact's next official pay-per-view, Rebellion, which I believe is actually going to be it's in Canada. I want to say it's in Toronto, but maybe not. I have to double check that. But yeah, I'd say Josh Alexander here retains.
I'm going with Josh Alexander as well. The dude is way too hot, and they've made a really big ordeal about him being the longest reigning Impact World Champion for the company in its history in 20 years, which incredible and speaks volumes about, Josh Alexander and his work ethic with Impact Wrestling. So far, Justin, we seem to be dead on with each other except one prelim match. So this is where it'll really get interesting because after the Impact World Championship match, we have a fatal 4-way match to determine the number 1 contender for the Impact World Championship, which in this fatal 4-way includes Brian Myers, Heath, PCO, and Steve Maclin. Now, on February 2nd, these participants were announced and would have matches over like the next couple of weeks. So Brian Myers defeating Dirty Dango to get in. I believe PCO defeated Shira. Steve Maclin defeated Rhino. And I believe Heath defeated Eddie Edwards, if I'm having that right. So they all had to qualify to get into the match. Again, those are 8 names that any one of them could have been in this match. Justin, what do you think of the 4 participants to be the next number 1 contender for the Impact World Championship?
Yeah, I think this is a good mix of, 4 guys you could definitely see challenging for the world title, in the very near future. PCO, who recently just broke away from Honor No More. And I believe he's still in a feud with Eddie Edwards, or he's just coming off of that feud. You have Steve Maclin, who's kind of been, racking up wins on former Impact World Championship champions over the last few months. Brian Myers, former digital media champion, just coming out off the Major Players tag team with Matt Cardona, as well as Heath, who, you and me, we did an interview with Heath Bound for Glory right before, and we could definitely see Heath rising up to that world title contendership status. He's also just coming off a tag team title reign with Rhino. So everybody in this match, is coming off something pretty hot, and could be bigger things for them coming out of this match.
Absolutely, and it's actually interesting enough with Heath. He just done a virtual signing with K&S Wrestling. They get a lot of big names. I've had figures signed by them. It's really cool. Heath was on there and had some remarks. One, he blamed the internet for ruining wrestling, which everyone says that. He's not wrong. I truly believe it. Even The Undertaker went on record recently saying, the same thing, because now all fans want is the backstage dirt and the gossip. He also went on record saying that he was asked if he would ever return to WWE. And Heath's response was, if it was for the salary he was making or more, yeah, he would do it for a couple of years. But he also admitted that basically, no, he's having too much fun right now. So, good for him on that. I can say out of all the 8 names, everyone here would be deserving, as you had said. Everyone was in a major storyline, and the 4 guys who lost, now things, get changed up for them a little bit. Justin, who do you see winning this? Because this could be an anybody's situation.
Right. So I've narrowed it down to 2, and both of them are on the heel side. Brian Myers, I can definitely see being, someone who challenges Josh Alexander for the world title, because I would imagine whoever wins this will be getting the match at Sacrifice next month. So I could definitely see Brian Myers in that spot right before, the big pay-per-view Rebellion in Toronto. Steve Maclin is very, very, a very big favorite in this match. But, I definitely see them saving Steve Maclin for the bigger show at Rebellion. So I'm going to say Brian Myers here.
Brian Myers had a opportunity at the championship when I believe Moose was the champion.
Christian Cage at Emergence a few years ago.
And that as well. So he's had a few chances at the title. Clearly proven himself. We do have one name in common that we both are agreeing on here, Justin. That's Steve Maclin. I think out of the 4, he's definitely the youngest and probably has like a really good hot streak going on. As far as that, I think he and Josh Alexander would have a great match. It'd be a great, hell of a match. But my other name, I'm sorry, Justin, we're going to disagree here. I'm going with PCO as my secondary. And I say that because of, breaking off from Honor No More there. Now on his own, staying here in Impact Wrestling. He's got a different vibe than the rest of these wrestlers in the match that makes him unique and offsets him compared to the rest of the roster. He's the oldest person in the match, but he wrestles better now in his 50s than he was in his 20s and 30s in the WWF and in WCW. I mean, the man's doing moonsaults. He's doing swanton bombs, jumping from inside the ring to the out. We've interviewed PCO. The resurrection of this man has been incredible. So I'm going with PCO as my secondary, but I'm going to say Steve Maclin. And as much as you say that, you see him getting the title shot at a much bigger spot, if he wins it, then he gets defended at a bigger spot. That's the way I look at it.
That's very true too. But the way I look at it, they're so close to having Josh Alexander at that 1-year mark. I think they're just going to go all the way with it.
Yeah, and you're probably right. Probably right there. God. All right, so this next match is a 6-man tag match. We have Time Machine, which is the Motor City Machine Guns of Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, teaming with Kushida, taking on the Bullet Club, Ace Austin, Chris Bay, and Kenta.
Yeah, Impact debut for Kenta here.
Yeah, after just coming fresh off of New Japan Pro Wrestling, their pay-per-view that they had, and still, he's got a nice shiny belt, and CM Punk was there to watch the real person hit the go to sleep,
Oof.
if you will. Sorry, Punk, but it wasn't your move first. We all know that. Justin, I'm gonna talk about this because this is it's gonna sound bad, but I don't mean it to sound bad. I was a fan of the Bullet Club, just like everybody else, and I feel like at their height was 10 years ago. I feel like the Bullet Club now is a mere shell of itself, an unrecognizable faction, if you will. Anyone who's an original is basically no longer there. It was once the most popular faction in all of professional wrestling, and it wasn't even here in the United States.
Right.
So many names have come through the Bullet Club. AJ Styles, Finn Balor, Gallows and Anderson, Tama Tonga. Oh my God. I'm just listing off just a few names. The Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Marty Scurll. Maybe we don't want to bring him up. I'm sorry.
Hangman Page.
Hangman Page.
The Royal Rumble winner, Cody Rhodes.
Heck, even at one point, King Haku. But you know him as Ming in WCW, Haku in WWF. How about Jeff Jarrett, a one-time member of the Bullet Club? You know what I mean? There's a lot of names that were part of the Bullet Club throughout the years. And it's just now like you're kind of like, well, who's left? They're in a stage where the Bullet Club is either going to come out of this and become, get some more notoriety that they once had, or at some point, Justin, we are going to see the end of the Bullet Club.
Yeah, and to that note, Bullet Club's just coming off of taking a few hits to their group. Gallows and Anderson recently went back to WB. Jay White is what you would imagine is no more. I mean, he's pretty much been forced out of New Japan Pro Wrestling, so the Bullet Club is left without a leader at this point. I think another thing to really think about is, who steps up to that next Bullet Club leader level. We've seen guys the likes of Finn Balor and AJ Styles and Kenny Omega and Jay White, be in that spot and move on to bigger things and do bigger things. So I think that's another thing to be excited about, in all honesty, to see who kind of reaches that level and is, on their way to the top in that sense. So the Bullet Club's kind of in purgatory right now when you really look at it, because you don't know, if this stable lives on. You don't know if it's nearing the end. But yeah, to your point, I mean, Bullet Club is going to go down as one of those, all-time great factions, I think. And to your point here in the U.S., where you see a few members, you see a little bit of crossover and Impact and AEW and so on and so forth, but this is primarily a New Japan Pro Wrestling stable that has been around for a good decade plus. So, I feel like the Bullet Club has cemented their legacy as like one of those all-time great factions, whether, we're nearing the end or not.
Yeah, and that was well said, Justin. Well said. Whether we are at the end or not, I mean, to me, it just feels like it's coming. You know what I mean? It feels like they've been just kind of treading the water, but now their legs and arms are getting tired.
Definitely.
And especially when you see the names that they once had, and like I said, they're just really a mere shell of themselves right now. I'm a big fan of the Motor City Machine Guns. Big fan of Kushida. Justin, Time Machine versus the Bullet Club. Who do you think is going to win this 6-man tag?
So this should be very fun. This kind of reminds me of one of those, banger 6-man 6-man tag X Division matches that Impact would have in like 2005, 2006, 2007. Just whether it's the opener or the middle of the show, just really get the crowd amped up. So this should be very fun. I'm curious to see how Kenta does here. Brand new Japan strong openweight champion coming out of Battle of the Valley this past weekend. And I think we're going to get a Bullet Club win here. Kenta's set to work the following 2 days of tapings this weekend. I believe one match is against Speedball Mike Bailey. And I believe he's working another match, but I can't remember who his opponent is. So we will see a Kenta on Impact for the next few weeks coming out of this. So I'm expecting a win for the Bullet Club.
Yeah, which is pretty cool, getting to see Kenta back here, wrestling in the States and everything. I'm going to go with the opposite of you. I'm going to say Time Machine.
Will you hop in your time machine and go back to the past, buddy?
Listen, man, I only got to get the DeLorean up to 86 miles an hour, and I'm good to go. All right?
Oh, God.
Try me. Because, it might be Back to the Future here in a little bit, because if my team don't win, I'm getting in that DeLorean. I'm going to change things up so that Time Machine does win if that happens.
So you're a cheater. Got it.
There's never anything in the rules that said I can't go back in time and change things.
I think that's just kind of a general, rule. It's unwritten, like, the wrestling fucking locker room code.
Yeah, well, Justin, I'm sorry, but some rules were meant to be broken.
Okay, I got you.
So, Justin, the next match is the Impact Knockout World Tag Team Championship as the Death Dollz. It'll be Jessicka and Taya Valkyrie with Rosemary taking on the Hex of Allysin Kay and Marti Belle, who have Father James Mitchell by their side. And this one was interesting, Justin. On February 9th, the Death Dollz were confronted by their former associate, Father James Mitchell, who claimed to put a hex upon the Death Dollz before, of course, they were ambushed by the hex.
Appropriate.
And then 4 days later, February 13th, Impact announces that the hex will challenge the Death Dollz for the titles at No Surrender. So now that we have a little background on this match and what is, sort of happened, what do you think of the match? I mean, Father James Mitchell with a new tag team. How do you think they'll fare?
Yeah, so look, we've seen Sienna and Marti Belle in Impact before. Sienna is obviously a former 2-time Impact Knockouts world champion. I'm sorry, is she going by the name Sienna or Allysin Kay now? Because that I kind of missed, actually.
Oh, I just assumed it was Allysin Kay.
It probably is Allysin Kay. I know before she went by Sienna, so if I call her Sienna a few times, then that's why. But I'll call her Allysin Kay for now. If I say Sienna, correct me, please. But Allysin Kay has been in Impact before, former 2-time Knockouts champion. Marti Belle, this is a big throwback, a part of the Dollhouse stable in Impact back in 2015 and 2016 with, the woman that we know now as back then Jade, but now Mia Yim or Mi Chin or Mi Chin Mia Yim or Mia Yin Mi Chin or whatever the fuck her name is. And, Rebel, who we actually see on AEW Weekly now with Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Jamie Hayter. So, it's good to see them back in the company. They've kind of made a name for themselves in the NWA since leaving Impact. Former NWA women's tag team champions. Both competed in the Mae Young Classic a few years ago. So I think we're going to get new champions here. Just for the main reason, and I feel like this is an issue with women's tag titles across, all companies that have them right now. I feel like because they're so limited with quantity in women's tag teams that these titles kind of have to switch, quite a bit to keep a story going. And I feel like that's due to the quantity of teams that they have in each company, whether it be, WB or NXT. even though, they're one and the same, WB and NXT, but you know what I mean. An Impact, other than the Hex and the Death Dolls, who do you really have? Chelsea Green has went back to WB, so you don't have EXT anymore with Deonna Purrazzo, and after that, there's not a whole lot. So I think the Hex win the tag titles here.
And I'm going to agree with you on this. I'm not sure why, but I'm going to agree with you.
Because I made great points. That's why you're agreeing with me.
Sometimes I wish that wasn't true, but yeah. All right. Anyway, yeah. This should be a good match. I always enjoy tag team matches. I prefer them over single matches because of the things that you can do in these matches. I'm expecting some big bumps, some big spots here, just like I'm going to be expecting some big bumps in the 6-man tag and in the Fatal 4-Way match also. Expecting some big spots in those. Because anytime there's multi-men and women matches, you can't not have, a big spot or a big moment. Now, Justin, our next match is a singles match, and it is Frankie Kazarian taking on Khan, who will have Deaner Angels and Sami Callihan by his side. Now, fans, if you're like, Khan, I don't mean Khan artist like, who you would think of like as Nails in WWF or the Repo Man or anything like that. It's Khan. It's Connor from former WWE and NXT. If you remember Connor, which Justin, what do you think the fans, remember Connor, and even if he was a singles guy or a tag team guy, what do you think?
So as a singles guy, he had that gimmick where he was a mouse on NXT, 10 years ago or so. Yeah, probably more than that, actually. Jesus Christ. And then he was a wannabe Legion of Doom guy in a tag team on the main roster. The Ascension in NXT was pretty cool. I enjoyed that, but that's just, Connor's run in a nutshell in WWE.
It was very short lived. And hey, let's not forget, they were trios as there was a guy named Stardust that they worked with for a little while.
Oh yeah. Wonder whatever happened to that.
I don't know, he got mad and quit or something.
Yeah.
Right? Like, isn't that what happened?
That guy will never make it in the wrestling business. What the fuck?
I never saw him making it, really, to be honest with you. I don't care about the adrenaline.
Yeah. Something,
So anyway, guys, it's Khan. Formerly it's Connor from the Ascension in WWE NXT. Justin, if you remember, when he made his debut in Impact Wrestling, he lost in like seconds.
Yeah.
Remember that?
To, Josh Alexander.
Yeah. So what do you think happens here, Justin?
So this obviously is Frankie Kazarian's first real feud, since officially signing with Impact Wrestling and leaving AEW. The design is kind of building themselves back up since losing Eric Young. Kind of a small repackage with them. Instead of Violent by Design, it's just the design now. And you have Deaner as the leader. You have the former Dark Order member of Alan Angels in the group. And you have Sami Callihan. So I expect Frankie Kazarian to come out with the win here. And I see this feud continuing. Whether it leads to a match, well, I expect it to lead to a match with, Alan just going by Angels now. Angels and Callihan. So I think Frankie Kazarian's probably going to go through this whole group.
I'm going to say this goes one of two ways. Frankie Kazarian wins, but it's by DQ because Khan has 3 other guys with him. Or Khan wins because he has 3 guys with him.
Right.
There's enough there to cause a distraction. And if something like that happens where it's a DQ and, they team up on Kazarian after, who's going to come out and save him? Like, who, hypothetically, if there's someone who's going to come and save him, who would it be? I'd put my money on, honestly, Motor City Machine Guns. Anyone who's got a long-standing history with Impact Wrestling, or even Frankie Kazarian themselves. What do you think?
Yeah, when you kind of brought up the idea of, Kazarian getting beat down post-match and somebody coming out for the save, Motor City Machine Guns were the first, team to pop into my head as well. I could see that, and I could also see that leading to a tag title match with the Design versus the Machine Guns as recent as the next pay-per-view.
Yeah, same. Look at that. We're setting stuff up for Impact. Give us jobs.
Look us.
So, Justin, the main event is a dot combat match for the Impact Digital Media Championship at Hard to Kill, because I believe in Joe Hendry. Defended the Impact Digital Media Championship against Moose. Moose almost pulled it out with the low blow. And then Santino Marella, the director of authority for Impact Wrestling, had the match restarted. Along with the vice president, Scott D'Amore. And we would see Hendry defeat Moose to retain the championship. Now, the next month, we would see Hendry be involved in a feud with another one of my favorites, Matt Cardona, over the title. On February 9th, Hendry defeated Cardona, avoided an attack from Moose. In the meantime, the following week, Moose shatters Morella's car window, thinking that it was Joe Hendry's. I don't know if they drive the same car or not, but that's I would assume a bad mistake.
Joe Hendry doesn't drive a car. That was Moose's first mistake. Joe Hendry flies. Okay.
So there's that. He's trying to send a message to the champ. So Santino Marella books a dot combat match for the Digital Media Championship. I'm assuming this is just like
it's pretty much just a no DQ match.
Yeah, it's just, a hardcore match type deal. An Extreme Rules, if you will.
They've done this before with Cardona and Jordan Grace. So they've done this match type before.
Now, we've interviewed Moose. You can go to youtube.com/perched on the top rope and check out the videos from that. You can listen to it on Apple Podcast. It's Perched on the Top Rope. Moose is a former D1 Syracuse University football player. Justin, that's my backyard. This is another one of those matches I like both competitors. I really do. We've interviewed both competitors. I want to say Joe Hendry retains. Moose is a hard man to stop. So I wish him the best. But I'm still going to stick with my guns on this one because I believe in Joe Hendry.
Well, I'm glad you said that, Lee, because I also believe in Joe Hendry. So Joe Hendry is going to retain the Impact Digital Media Championship here, and Joe Hendry is going to move on to bigger things. Joe Hendry might, be the one to take that title from Josh Alexander. Fuck it, put all the titles on Joe Hendry. I believe in him.
Make him the Lance Storm of WCW.
Make it. He already has the Digital Media Champion. Give him the Impact World title, and then you're gonna give him the X Division title, and then you're gonna give him the Tag Team titles, and then somehow, some way, he's gonna win that Knockouts title too.
Joe Hendry to hold all the Impact titles 2023 because I believe in Joe Hendry. Justin, overall, based on the matches, we don't even we don't know what's going to happen. We just did our predictions, but overall, based on the matches, how are you rating this so far?
For a not a regular pay-per-view, but an Impact Plus special, I think it's a very solid show. Top to bottom.
I agree with you, and the matches I'm looking forward to the most is definitely the Fatal 4-Way with Myers, Heath, PCO, and Steve Maclin. I'm looking forward to the 6-man tag
Mhm.
between Time Machine and the Bullet Club. I think the Knockouts Tag Team Championship is going to be a great match. And I'm obviously looking forward to the main event of Joe Hendry versus Moose.
I know y'all can't see it, but I'm doing the little moose thing.
Moose!
Moose!
I even, the pre show matches, Deonna Purrazzo and Gisele Shaw, Jonathan Gresham, and Speedball Mike Bailey, those are going to be great matches as well. Overall, I think this is a great pay-per-view. I don't think fans will be disappointed. So fans, this is where we tell you spoiler-free is the way to be, and we're out, but we're not out because you're about to listen to a very special interview with Impact Wrestling's Jay Vidal.
The following podcast has been paid for by Perched on the Top Rope.
Hello, everybody. It's Jay Vidal. That is Jai, Gisele Shaw's executive stylist and content creator, and you are watching and listening to Perched on the Top Rope.
Welcome, everyone, to Perched on the Top Rope. I am your host, Lee Walker. Joining me today is one of the newer signees to Impact Wrestling. He is the executive stylist and content creator for Gisele Shaw. Ladies and gentlemen, Jay Vidal. Jay, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
I am doing great. First and foremost, I want to congratulate you not only on signing with Impact Wrestling, but this is also your 7th year this year in the professional wrestling industry. How does that feel to have such a great accomplishment?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it feels phenomenal. I remember last year when I hit 6 years in the business, I was just like, man, I gotta do something. I gotta really get the ball rolling because it felt like I was doing everything that I could in the indies, but you skip forward to the end of 2022 and Impact offers me the contract, and going into my 7th year now, it was like, wow, here we are. We're making moves. We're doing it. It feels great.
Yeah. And again, you have a lot of firsts, and some of them are even coming up. The first openly gay male to sign with Impact Wrestling, that's another congratulations. And to me, that's a big step for Impact Wrestling as well. And I want to share this quote from Scott D'Amore. We're excited to sign Jay Vidal, a talented, charismatic wrestler who brings a diverse skill set to the ring. He said, as he told Outsports, we're proud to welcome another member of the LGBTQ community to the Impact roster and further our outreach into that community, which has a deep fan base for professional wrestling. Now, I read that quote because it speaks incredible words to you, but also for Impact Wrestling as well, being such supportive of the LGBTQ community, that they've also partnered with the North American Gay Amateur Athletic Alliance. How does that make you feel as someone part of that community?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's coming into professional wrestling, right? Like my first 2 years, I had to be in the closet. And after that, being able to come out in wrestling and be my authentic self, for one, I always just wanted to break down barriers any way that I could, do my part for the LGBTQ community. And to see that, you got Impact Wrestling who's so welcoming of it and who, pushes you to be your authentic self. Not only that, but also has these programs and connects with these programs in the LGBTQ plus community. It's honestly, it's amazing. It's welcoming, and it makes me wear the Impact badge with honor, and I love it. I genuinely do.
And my next question related to that, if Impact ever had like an ambassador role for the LGBT community, for ties into Impact Wrestling, for more outreach, would that be like a position you would be interested in?
Oh, 1,000%. I mean, I always talk about like how I want to do my part when it comes to the community. whether it be talking in, equality centers and stuff like that. So 1,000%, that would be something I would definitely be interested in.
Okay. Now I want to bring this part up. We talked before the show. You, with that like ambassador type role, you in other interviews had said that not really having much of people in the LGBT community in athletics to really look up to. Here we are in 2023. In professional wrestling alone, we're seeing a lot of other males and females and transgender wrestlers coming out, and it's very welcoming. And this story I want to share with you. My brother gave me permission to share this story. He does not watch wrestling, but I had Impact on, and it was during the segment with you and Jordan Grace. I had told my brother who you were and everything like that. And he again does not watch professional wrestling. He's younger than me, much younger than me. I would say probably, experienced some bullying and things like that over his sexual orientation, but never officially like came out to anybody. We knew because we would see him with boyfriends and stuff like that, but never said the words. After watching you on TV and me telling him about you, he called my parents, put the phone on speaker, and then came out.
That is amazing. Like that, honestly, you have no idea how much how emotional that gets me and how much that makes my heart smile. Like I got goosebumps just hearing that. That is awesome. That is awesome.
He's 28, going on 29. He allowed me to share the story. And this Friday, he will now be watching No Surrender as the beautiful Gisele Shaw takes on Deonna Purrazzo. And Jay, I want to ask you, this is also going to be your Impact pay-per-view debut with Impact Plus, YouTube, and Fight TV, 8 p.m. Eastern Time Friday. How excited are you to make your Impact pay-per-view debut?
I am super excited. I mean, honestly, like it's to be out there and to be out there with Gisele Shaw too, managing Gisele Shaw. She takes on Deonna Purrazzo, who we are going to get back because she threw chili on us, not once, but twice. So yeah, no, that is amazing. Also, going back to your brother, you know what? I want to call your brother. Could we do that? Is that possible?
He is working right now. He wanted to be here. I can set something up with Ross after maybe, or we can like DM each other and have that happen. But yeah, he's at work. He wanted to be here to tell the story. That's why I got permission to tell it.
All right, sounds good. Awesome. Yeah, because we definitely want to do that. And but going back over to No Surrender this Friday, absolutely, I'm super excited. I mean, honestly, like anytime that I get to do anything new with Impact, it's always like my focus is just like laser, and I'm always just hyped and set for it. So I'm super excited. I already got the outfits picked out for Gisele and I for this Friday and for this weekend in general, because it's not just No Surrender, but it's No Surrender Fallout, right? So we're also going to be having shows on Saturday and Sunday over here in Las Vegas, Nevada at Sam's Town.
Well, I, for one, am excited for that match. I'm excited for your debut. And, usually in these circumstances, we, the executive stylist here, we tend to see specialty ring gear or, as a valet and manager, some special suits come out, and things like that. What can we expect as far as that?
I don't like to spoil whenever I'll wear something. All I'm going to say is every time that Jay Vidal is out there, he wears something iconic. So just expect something iconic. All right.
Okay. All right. I'm totally cool with that. And, speaking of that, when it comes to having I guess in-ring debut is how we could put this, because you had a couple matches in 2021. Who would you like to face as like your re-debut match in Impact?
Well, actually, fun fact. So this Sunday, I'm actually going to be facing Johnny Swinger, believe it or not.
The Swingman.
Yeah,
All
the
right.
swing. I know I'm going to take that and I'm going to blow my nose with it because I'm going to be taking on Johnny Swinger. As we know, he's 0 for 50, but you know what? maybe Jay Vidal's on his road to 50 right now. Maybe Johnny Swinger will be that one in the 1 in 50.
Well, I wish you the best of luck in that match against the Swingman coming up. Now, I know you've talked goals along with Impact Wrestling. Without sports, you had said, I think it'd be pretty cool to be the first openly gay X Division champion, with Gisele Shaw as the Knockouts World Champion, holding the title side by side, just dominating the roster. Would you view that as a long-term goal for yourself in Impact? And if you view that as a long-term goal, what are some of your short-term goals for Impact, being an Impact?
Definitely a long-term goal, and some short-term goals would be, just putting on the best matches, right? Because that's what we aspire to do. As professional wrestlers, I feel like we are artists.
Mhm.
And the best thing that any artist wants is for their art to be remembered, for their art to be put in the history books. So my goal with Impact is definitely, at least in the quote unquote short term, is to have just outstanding matches and to be put in those positions to succeed. So I, would love to have matches with Speedball Mike Bailey, or with Chris Bay, or with Trey Miguel. Like, the list goes on, and the opportunities are just endless, really, with Impact.
Yeah, and I think that it's really incredible, especially looking at the long-term goal there with being the X Division champion and being side by side champs with Gisele Shaw. Now, Friday for this match is a retaliation for the Chili. If Gisele wins this match, do you think this could be her road to getting back to being the number one contender for the Knockouts Championship?
1,000%, yeah. Without a doubt, without a doubt. I mean, Gisele Shaw, I see Gisele Shaw as a champion anytime, like, she is. It's to me, it's not a matter if, it's a matter of when. So I see her taking out Deonna Purrazzo, and I see her getting back into that title picture.
Awesome, awesome. And I gotta ask, who are some of your favorites growing up in pro wrestling?
My favorites, I would say, if I had to choose like a top 3, it would be, in no particular order here,
Okay.
Eddie Guerrero, Shawn Michaels, and Jeff Hardy.
Okay.
Like,
All right.
those 3 for me are just like the top of the top tier, the cream of the crop.
Yeah, all three great names. And you get to work with legends who have worked with them, with the likes of Tommy Dreamer and Rhino and Bully Ray. I get Johnny Swinger being one of them, who you're wrestling on Sunday. Mickie James. Being part of Impact Wrestling and sharing a locker room with wrestlers that you watched growing up, have you sought out any advice from these legends, or have they come up to you with to critique anything or to help you out?
1,000%. So what I love about Impact is that, the vets who are backstage, something I should say that we all have in common is that the vets are backstage. The seasoned talent that have been there for a little bit, and the newer talent coming in, is that we all want Impact to succeed. So we're all doing our part. And in that, the vets are always giving advice, and we're always, open ears to it. So there's a lot of times that I'll come backstage, and that Gail Kim will pull me aside. She'll tell me what I did right and what I could have done better. And the same thing with Tommy Dreamer. I even had Mickie James give me advice one time, which was pretty awesome, because here I was watching her when I was a little kid, right?
Yeah.
And now she's over here, giving me advice. It's really amazing. They are always there. They're very open to giving advice and very open to giving critiques, which I think is super important for any performer who wants to better themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's incredible just to be around those that you watched on television, that you grew up watching, and now they're giving you advice and they're seeking you out to say, hey, great job out there, or hey, do this and this next time. I think that's incredible. And to be able to work with those that you grew up watching, to me, it's like one of those not all heroes wear capes sort of thing. Like those are heroes. Like, and to get that advice, man, that is just incredible and good for you. I love that. This is a question I ask everybody from Impact. Who would you consider your Mount Rushmore for Impact Wrestling?
Mount Rushmore for Impact Wrestling. What is that? 4 or 5?
4.
4? Yeah, 4.
Yeah.
Right. Definitely Sting. Definitely Sting, without a doubt. Up there, I would also put AJ Styles. I would put Bully Ray up there. And it's always, the fourth, it's always the hardest one to choose a fourth one. Because I genuinely feel like he's carried the company on his back and done a tremendous job doing so as champion, Josh Alexander. 1,000%.
I like that. I like that. I'm going to go get my cell phone. I really don't care that my brother's at work, to be honest with you.
Let's call him. Let's give him a call. Let's do it. Tell him that Jay Vidal said I'm calling.
And the only thing I will say is my phone is broken. I can only have it on speaker, which I got to put it on speaker anyway. So I'll be right back.
Sounds good.
Hey, Jay, I have on the phone my brother.
Hello, Brandon Walker. How are you?
Hi, good yourself.
I am doing fantastic. So Lee told me about your story and everything, and I just want to say that it genuinely touched my heart, and good on you for coming out and being your true authentic self. Like, I am sending you so much love and so much good energy. And on top of that, if you want to come to any upcoming Impact show, you are welcome as my guest with comp tickets, okay?
Ooh, absolutely. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And nothing but peace and love to you, okay?
You as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye, Brandon. Sorry to bother you at work. Hey, Jay, thank you so much for that, man. I really appreciate that.
Of course. No, thank you for making it happen.
Yeah, no, he, like I said, he does not watch wrestling. And then he saw you on TV, and I said, I explained who you were a little bit and everything. And he goes, wow. And just picked up the phone and just did it. So, thank you. Thank you. We never would have thought that something like that would have happened. Like I said, we knew, but you wanted to hear it, to get that relief and all that out there, so, you're not hiding anymore, I guess, is the best way to put it. And to be his brother is it's a surreal experience. He's a really cool guy. So anytime Impact is around Albany, New York, in your wrestling, you'll get to meet my brother.
Sounds good. Like I said, he's my guest with comp tickets. So,
Awesome. Jay, I want to thank you for coming on and doing the show today. I want to thank you for the surreal experience with the phone call with my brother. I had a great time, and I hope to do this again sometime with you. Best of luck for Gisele on Friday. Guys, no surrender. You can catch it YouTube. You can catch it on Impact Plus, and you can catch it on Fight TV Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And Sunday, Jay makes his re-debut taking on the Swingman, Johnny Swinger. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of Perched on the Top Rope. Please remember, spoiler-free is the way to be. We're out.